Well, it's really quite a privilege to be talking to such a full lecture theatre. Thank you for coming, and thank you for being here to hear what's going to be happening in this area over the next few years. All of which I hope you will feel able to get involved in, support, guide, and so on, as Atul has said. But this is the most exciting thing that's happened in dental education for a long time. And why is it exciting? Well, if you've just heard Professor Terence say, you've heard Atul say that these are things that we're going to be doing that are a bit different, and we're independent, which means that we don't have links to the NHS. The students' clinical care of patients is going to be covered by a charity. We don't have the encumbrance that some universities have on what goes on. We're very respectful of Buckingham. We're very grateful to be in association and joint venture with them, but we're going to be different. Now, well, why here and why now? And in sort of common with lots of things, we'll do this in reverse order, if you don't mind. Why now? It's very easy to think in terms of that dentistry and dental education has been static. It hasn't. It's been moving forward quite a lot. But in terms of getting overseas students, and we're going to aim to get a very high proportion of overseas students, they still want to come to the UK for education. And as far as the existing dental schools are concerned, there are difficulties. There are caps on numbers, and we don't have that. We also have objectives that are slightly different, because we're going to be educating dentists who will go back to their own countries to actually work from the time we're finished. We're going to in some ways move forward, but in other ways turn the clock back a little bit. And we're going to make sure that our graduates are genuinely fit for practice when they leave. Why here? Well, some of you sitting in the audience may remember that 7 or 8 years ago, there was an attempt to put a dental school in Leicester. I was involved in that, and one or two people sitting here were as well. It didn't work for a number of reasons. But as things happen, the then late dean of the medical school met Naran Nayak, who's sitting somewhere down here, who put in his mind the idea of why do you need to have that? Why don't you do it on your own without Department of Education and Department of Health? In other words, do a private school. And I was brought in, and a couple of other people were brought in as well, and we've been working at it. It didn't work with Leicester. It was a bit too complicated for them, I think. But it did work with Buckingham, and when we went to ask, we were pushing at an open door, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you. Why here? Well, Leicester's the 10th largest city in England. It has a population number within easy reach of here that's far in excess of what some of the other dental schools in the UK have. Depending on where you look, it actually has fewer dentists per population numbers than other dental schools. And it has space, patients, it has you, all here. So it's an obvious place to put a dental school. And we're hopefully going to be able to answer any of your questions about that later. Now, what's going to be different about this course? Well, I said some of it is perhaps a little old-fashioned, but it's not really. We have some emphasis on the various cultural aspects, because if people are coming from abroad and going back, they need to know quite a lot about how culture influences care. We're going to have some business and management training, quite a lot of that, because again, they're going to have to know how to do things. And finally, we're going to make sure that they actually know what practicing dentistry is about. And that some of that is where you come in. The curriculum is a little different to some of the other things. Let me just... a little different, because what we've got here is just an outline of what we're going to do. Things that are in blue are the basic medical aspects of dental science. Things that are in green are the basic dental aspects. But each student will work for 6 weeks on the blue and green aspects, and 6 weeks alternating with other groups of students to do their simulation work, to do their business studies, do their communication skills, and so on. At the same time, we're going to ask some of you, all of you, to host some of our students so they can actually see what it's like to do the job in reality. We won't have our clinical facilities for the first couple of years. We will have the simulation equipment. But we will then, at the end of the 3rd year, they will start a 2-year intensive clinical course. And it's our intention to have the clinical facilities open from 8 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. The evidence that we've got is that that's what a lot of people want. And there'll be 2 shifts. Ultimately, half 4th year, half 5th year students working together, allowing continuity of care, 2 shifts every day. Where are we? So how can we get you involved? We'd like you to think about helping as a teacher. You all remember what it was like at dental school. There were some really good teachers where I trained. There were 1 or 2 that perhaps not quite as good. We'd like you to come and help us and join us and do as much as or as little as you want. We would like you to act as mentors to our students, which is invite them into your surgery, get to know them, help them. Remember, a lot of them, maybe up to 3/4 of them, will not be from the UK. They'll need to know people to help, and we'd like you to help them. It'll be a place where you can refer patients. And it'll also be a place where we hope you will come and use the facilities. Get involved. This is something that is part of, we want you to be part of our community as we want to be part of yours. Now, we are actually, for a whole variety of reasons, aiming for students from the United States. We're cheaper, we're quicker. We will take people who don't have to go and do a 4-year college education before going on to dental school. And there's a lot of interest from that part of the world. And I'm hopeful that we'll very soon be able to conclude a cooperation partnership agreement with one of the leading dental schools in the United States in the Northeast, which will allow our US students to go back and do a short conversion course before they are allowed to apply for their licenses through state boards. And that will be helpful to us as well, because we'll be involved in cooperating with teaching. So we actually want to make these people feel at home. And I've just come back with a journey across the Atlantic, slightly aided by the Hurricane Sandy. And I picked this up over there, just thinking that we ought to make our American students feel at home. And we want them to floss, and what's better than flossing after breakfast with something that's very appropriate. I just want to finish with some thank yous. It's the first time that I've publicly been able to thank the University of Buckingham for taking us in and joining us in partnership, but also to thank Naren and Jeremy and Atul. They're a great team to work with, and I'm very grateful for all your help, support and encouragement. And to Stuart Peterson, who's helping out around the corner, who you're going to hear from in a minute, who has also been extremely helpful. So we'll be around afterwards. Do come and talk. questions later, but if you want to ask something personally, get in touch. Thank you.